This is a walkthrough of how to install the Captivate wrapper, or superWrapper as I like to call it. Down here, you've probably made it to the repository already. This is where you're going to find all of the information, and we've got these walkthrough instructions. So the point of this video is, well, I've tried to make these step-by-step as easy as I can. I had a coworker walk through these directions, and it occurred to me that they're not as straightforward as they believe. So we're just I'll show you a quick video demonstration of each one of these steps, where you need to look, how you need to do it, right? So let's start with a Captivate project. I've got one open here, which is actually going to be my demo project. So we'll pop open this Captivate. And the first step, let's go back and take a look at step one here again, which was in your Captivate project on the first slide. We need to add action, execute JavaScript, and then add this init or init. It's the initializing call function, right? So here's how we do that. I'm going to select my first slide, and in properties, yours may look a little bit different than this, but you'll find properties, and then there's these different buttons here. So yours may default to style. We want to be on actions, and this is slide one, and this is saying on enter, what are we going to do? And we want to drop this down, and if you go up towards the top here, you'll find execute JavaScript. So we're going to select that. And then we're going to open up this script window, and inside of here, we're just going to type in init, init, hit OK, and step one is now done. Let's take a look at step two. So step two is we have to set up the variables for our LRS. So these are our key, our secret, our endpoint, the credentials that are needed from whatever LRS that you want to use in order to put those into Captivate so that they're there for the publish. So here's the variable name. It's very important. These are case-sensitive values. So we need to create those in Captivate. Now, I've already got this done, but let's take a look at what I did and how I did that. So we're going to go to Project, Variables, and you can see I've got those three different variables. So to create a new variable, if you're starting from scratch here, you just click Add New, and then you would type in V. If we were going to recreate the key variable, it won't let me do it because it's already done, but I would just type that in there, put my value in here, and hit save. It'll drop down there. What happens now is when we take a look at these, you can see, so my endpoint, okay, here we go. So there's my endpoint, and I've got the value in there. There's my key, and there's my secret. So that'll be provided by your LRS. Like if you're using Watershed, you go into XAPI data, and it'll show you the different sources. That's where you find that information, similar with Storm Cloud or whatever LRS you may want to use. So that needs to be put in there. So once that's done, now we're done with step two. The only other thing to keep in mind is for some of you that may have a sandbox environment for testing, you can also put in another set of credentials here, and there's a way that we can toggle back and forth between using the sandbox environment and the production environment. But that's definitely 102 stuff, but that's what this is talking about down here. This is the main key, is that you get these three set up. Won't work without it. Okay, so then our next step is to publish the Captivate, ensuring the following. So first of all, you have set up the project name and description in Captivate Preferences. So let's take a look at that. If I go to Captivate Preferences, you'll see here I'm going to project information, and I've already got this filled out. So my project name is in there, and then a description of what my project is. Those are the two important things. Reason being is this is what populates our XAPI statement. So whatever you're putting in here is going to be what the XAPI is looking for, and it's going to work it into the statements. We can take a look at that a little bit later. Okay, so moving back, we've got that done. We only want to publish to HTML. SCORM or no SCORM is okay. And we don't want to zip the file. So we're ready to publish now. So let me go here to File, Publish. And I'll call this cohort. I've got a couple of these folders I've been working on, but let's just call this demo file just to keep it real simple. I'm going to put it on my desktop so that it's easy to find. Now, remember some of our rules. We don't want to zip the file, so let's make sure that that's unchecked. And then the other thing is we only want to publish in HTML5, right? So if you've got SWF checked, it gives all these other options. That really doesn't do us any good with this. It's HTML5 only. So we're going to go there. Now, if you want to do turn on SCORM, those types of things, it is compliant with SCORM, so you can do that as well. A little bit different publish package, as you know, but superWrapper will work with either one. Okay, so just going to go ahead, hit publish here, and let it do its thing. Okay, and while we're doing that, let's take a look at what our next step is once we're published. So the next step is we have to copy this repo. So we're in the repo right now, this README right here. So we need to copy this repo to our desktop and then unzip it. So let's take a look at that process. You'll just see this button here in GitHub, which is clone or download. So I'm going to clone or download. I want to download the zip file. Okay, and that's downloading there. I think Captivate's jumping at me, telling me that we're done. No, I don't want to take a look at the output, but I should have a published package. And quickly let me go into my downloads, as that is probably where we're going to find my Git repo. Yep, right here you can see is what I downloaded, and it in a lot of cases you'll have to unzip it because it's a Mac. It unzips it for me. So here's the library. I'm just going to drag this out and put it onto my desktop. Okay, so now going back to our instructions again, I've got here's the copy of the repo that it asked us to have. Here's the demo file that Captivate put together for us, our publish file. Okay, so coming back here again now, so we've gone through to now step 4. So we've copied the repo. In the folder superWrapper source, copy the following files to your clipboard to paste. Okay, so here's what we're looking for you to do. You've got the 2 different folders. You've got the demo file, and then you've got the repo file. So I want you to go into the repo file here, okay, and go into source files. These are all just, this is where kind of everything lives. And we need these 3 different files. We need controller. So I'm going to grab that file, controller no IE, and then tincan.js. Those are the 3 files that we need to put in order to make this work. So I'm going to just Command C, copy those files on a Mac. Go to my desktop here, and then we have our demo file. So the instructions say to go into the demo file, find the assets folder, so that's right here. Find the JS folder, so that's right here, and I'm just going to double click, so we're now inside of that assets JS folder, and I'm just going to paste in those 3 files. So now all 3 of those are in there. Now that step's complete. We've got all the files that we need. The next thing we have to do is just a little bit of code stuff. So let's take a look at what it tells us to do. So we have to make changes to the index or the index SCORM HTML from Captivate publish file. So we're going to have to go back into that same publish folder, that demo file folder, look for our index file and open that with a code editor. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to go to Finder here. I'm going to go to my desktop, demo file. Open that up. Okay, so this is our Captivate publish package that got spit out. This index.html. Now again, if it's a SCORM publish, this will be index_SCORM.html. You're looking for this index file. If you click on it, it's going to try to launch the package in your browser. So I'm right-clicking here because I want to open it with a code editor. So I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open that with Visual Studio Code. And this is our index package here, okay? So this is what we need to manipulate and add stuff in from that Git repo. So let's go back to Git and see what the instructions say to do next. So, okay, we've opened the file. Look for this script tag. Oops, sorry about that. Look for this script tag around line 10. So let's go back here. You can see here, line 10, script tag. That's what it told me to look for. And then we need to insert the following lines after the script, and we want to make sure we don't overwrite anything. So this whole blurb of code right here from superWrapper start out, that's just commented code is what that is. This whole thing, I'm just going to copy this, come back over here, go to my script tag, and paste, right? So it just stuck that in there and moved everything else down. That's 1/2 of it. Now the other part is there's one more piece of code that we're looking for in here. So now let's go to step 6, and it says in the same code, find a line similar to this. So var ljs files. Now this can look a little bit different depending on how you how you've published it, but it's this variable name is going to be the same. So what you can do to find this quickly is in your code editor, I'm going to just hit Command F in this particular editor, which is find, and I'm just going to paste that in, and you can see it takes me right to what we're looking for. It's usually around line 118, 120, somewhere in there, especially if you pasted in this new stuff above like we did. So let's go back now and see what it says to do. Now we need to take this code blurb and paste it directly after this line. So there's no space there, so I'm just going to come up here, hit carriage return, paste it in. Formatting looks a little bit funny because it didn't indent it, but it's fine. The code doesn't care. We're just going to save this now. So I'm just doing a command save, so it's overwriting that index file. And now let's see what the directions tell us from there. They say, we're good to go. You should be able to deploy it to server, do what you want to do. So let's take a look and see if it's worked. Because this is the way that this one was set up, it can be run straight from my desktop. So now I'm going to take this index page and I want to open it with Chrome so we can use the browser here and make sure that it's working. So index open with, and I'm going to say let's open it with Google Chrome. And you can see that my package is working. And here we know that it's working because we're not passing it an email. So the first thing superWrapper wants is an email address. So I can put in my email, brian@brianfloyd.me. And if you want to check, there's something in Chrome called the console. And this is the beginning of the project. So if I hit Command Option J, it opens up this console. And there we can see the statements are being saved that are going in. A lot more we can talk about with this, but these are the basic installation steps to get you up and running.